Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm back again with another intro to magic. Last time we covered that we were sorcerers or mages, whatever you feel most connected to, and the basis of the game was to bring your opponent's life down to 0. And you start at 20, you bring it down to 0. And these are all the different card types that you can do that with. So the first one I want to introduce to you is basic lands. So lands are very important to the game. This particular land is an island, and he is a colorless permanent, or she, it is a colorless permanent, and you can tap it to produce 1 blue mana to pay for the casting cost of a card, and we'll go over that another time. But the first type of basic land I'd like to introduce you to is an island. And there are 5 types of basic lands in the game. You got the island, you've got a plains, which produces white mana. And here you see you have a little sun that symbolizes the plains. And then you've got forest, which produces green mana. And you got a little symbol of a tree on him. You got a swamp that produces black mana. The little symbol for black mana is a skull. And the 5th type of basic land... Sorry, I had somebody knocking on my door. The 5th type of basic land is a mountain. And the symbol for a mountain is a flame or a fireball. So those are the 5 basic types of land. I don't know did I say that this produces red mana? But those are the 5 basic lands. And then next, the most common card type you'll see in Magic is a creature card. This is a white creature. The name is Sentinel Sliver. And that's the type of creature it is a sliver. And the card type is creature. This particular card grants sliver creatures vigilance. And here on the card it explains to you what vigilance is. It says attacking doesn't cause them to tap. And we'll go over attacking and blocking and combat in another video. But for now, a creature is a card that has creature type creature and has a power and a toughness. So that's what those 2 numbers are. The 2 in front of the slash is the power. That's how much damage it can deal. And the 2 behind the slash is its toughness. That's how much damage it can take before it dies. And we'll go over what all that means more in the future. Yay, you've been introduced to a creature! Alright. Next, we'll go over... Oh, and I didn't mention that when you play this guy, you get to keep him on your side, or on your battlefield as it's called. He stays there. That makes him a permanent. And the next type of permanent and card type we're going to learn about is an enchantment. And this particular card is called Kalani Heart Expedition. And it says when a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a quest counter on him. And you can remove 3 quest counters from him and sacrifice it. You can search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. So in Magic, you can play with the all green deck, you can play with all white deck, you can play with all blue deck, whatever, of each of the colors that Magic is, you can make that type of deck. And here, using the information that I just gave to you guys, what 2 things can you go get? I'll give you a moment to think about it. It says look for 2 basic land cards. So you can go get an island and a plains if you want. You can go get 2 islands. You can get 2 plains. You can go get a mountain and a swamp. Any of your choice. So it's helpful to have these kind of cards in your deck. But an enchantment is something that stays on your battlefield, so it's also a permanent, and you get to use it over and over again. And an enchantment can affect certain things in the game. They can only affect you, they can affect your opponent, and they can affect your creatures. But we'll go over more intricate card types in the future. Another card type is an artifact. You'll notice this guy doesn't have any color. His name is Commander Sphere. He costs 3 to play. But what he does is he produces mana. He's not a land, but he produces mana. And here he says add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And commander is a type of magic play. Like, it's a different format. Like, there's casual, commander, duel, and we'll go over that in another video too. There's many different types of ways to play Magic, and commander is a very popular one. Me myself, I like to play casual. And he can do more than one thing. He doesn't only tap for mana. You can sacrifice him to draw a card. And we'll go over the turn phases in another video also. This guy's an artifact, and he's colorless. And he does cool things. And here's the last permanent we're going to talk about today. This is what we call a planeswalker. And her subtype is Kiora. She's Kiora the Behemoth Beckoner. And here's something that we'll talk about in another video also. This is called hybrid mana. That means you can pay 2 of any color and 1 green or 1 blue. But she has a static ability, and then she has a -1 ability. She comes in with 7 loyalty, so you can use this negative ability 7 times before you have to sacrifice her. And we'll go into depth about what all of these terms mean in future videos. But Planeswalker is basically a little tiny player that you have on your side. That's how I like to think of them. And her loyalty is her life total. So ours is normally 20, hers is 7. I don't think there's much more than I can explain to you about a Planeswalker right now without getting too far into the game. But just think of a Planeswalker as a tiny player that helps you on your side. Alright, then on to cards that are not permanent. There's sorcery and there's an instant. Now you can play these things and they have a one-time effect. The difference between a sorcery and an instant is timing. An instant you can play at any time if you have the mana to play it. Or in this case, if you can pay the alternate cost. Because it says you can discard an island card and another card rather than pay this card's mana cost. So even if it's not your turn, you can play this. And especially if it's not your turn, you want to play this spell because it counters somebody else's spell. And countering things is a big, I want to say, part. It's a big part of Magic. But countering is a little difficult to understand at first. But basically, if your opponent goes to play a spell and you don't like it, you can just say no. That's what people like to say. It's just no. That spell's countered. So that would be an example of an instant. But sorcery is only something you can play on your turn. And this particular sorcery is called Siphon Mind. And it says each other player discards a card from his or her hand, and you draw a card for each card discarded this way. And probably the next video, I'll mention how many cards you can have in your hand and everything that goes along with taking a turn. Thank you guys for learning about the card types. I look forward to teaching you more about Magic. And thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.